This is perhaps the biggest sign that this group, Taliban, TALIBAN, they are unstoppable. They're going to roll through. They're going to roll through any territory in Afghanistan, and nobody is going to stop them. You might say, well, we already know it because they fought against the Americans for 20 years. You can also say, well, we already know it because they are the graveyard for the empires. Look what they did with the British. Look what they did with the Soviet Union. So it is enough for us to know that yes, they are the group and they are unstoppable. You might argue with me about that. That is true. That is true. But the biggest sign, you do not know what it is. I'm going to be mentioning to you that big sign in a second. But before I do that, I want you to understand this thing, okay? Fighting was reported on Saturday, which is today in Canada, between the Taliban and resistance forces in Afghanistan, Panjshir Valley, the last region in Afghanistan holding out against the armed group. So we know that there is fighting going on. We also know a spokesman of the National Resistance Front, which is also called NRF, of Afghanistan, which groups opposition forces loyal to local leader Ahmad Massoud, said Taliban forces reached the Darban Heights on the border between Kapisa province and Panjshir, but were pushed back. In other words, they are fighting, going back and forth, and Taliban is being pushed back by them, and so many things are happening. Now, this is the biggest sign that this group, okay, the Taliban, cannot be stopped. Whether it is good or bad, some people, they don't like it. Some people, they say, yeah, that's a good thing. We do not know. We want peace and stability in Afghanistan. So if it is through Taliban, so be it. Who cares? But a lot of people are saying, no, we should not allow them to rule the country. And so they do not want to hear that they are unstoppable. So what is that big sign you should look for, whether you are for it or against it? This is the big sign. The biggest sign of strength that Taliban cannot be stopped. Panjshir, are you ready? Ready? Panjshir, which held out for nearly a decade against the Soviet Union's occupation, and also the Taliban's first rule from 96 to 2001, is stubbornly holding out. In other words, this valley, Panjshir province, they were so good in defending their territories that they managed to do so against the Soviet Union. They also managed to do so against Taliban from 96 to 2001. In other words, this group, NRF, this front, they are very, very strong. They are very, very courageous, very, very brave. Okay, you ready? Fighters from NRF, made up of anti-Taliban militia and former Afghan security forces, they are trained, they are well equipped, are understood to have stockpiled a significant armories in the valley 80 kilometers or 50 miles north of Kabul and guarded by a narrow gorge. Okay, you ready? So in other words, this group, this NRF, they are very, very powerful. They have Afghan security forces, former Afghan army people. They joined in this group. They are fighting, they're holding out against so many, even superpowers, even Taliban from 96 to 2001. But now, okay, when I say Taliban is unstoppable, I'm going back to my point. The biggest sign that Taliban, they are unstoppable. Now, this group, NRF, they are facing defeat. They are facing defeat. Taliban is going there as if they don't care about anyone. Even though this group is very powerful, they held out against superpower like Soviet Union and against Taliban 96 2001, but now they are fizzling away. They are surrendering. They are giving up. The fighting is going on. They said, you know what, Taliban, you guys are too good for us. We are not going to do anything. The situation is difficult. We have been under invasion. One of the guys, he said, very difficult. It is very hard for us. And who is saying that? That person, from that group, this individual. His name is Saleh, and said in a video message, the resistance is continuing and will continue. Yeah, of course, it will continue. But For how long? Not too long, not too long. Taliban and resistant tweets suggested the key district of Parian had changed hands several times in the last few days, but that also could not be independently verified. In other words, even the province Parian, we do not know who actually rules that province right now. That place, even though this NRF, this group, they're saying, you know what, we are strong enough to defend ourselves, but there are reports that they actually fled and gave the power of this specific location to the to another party, which looks like is pro-Taliban. Dear brothers and sisters, things are getting pretty intense right now. We can say from from reading this report and understanding what is going on is that the next move of Taliban, okay, will be most likely Kashmir. Now, I was reading a report actually on the Al Jazeera. One person, he said, and Al Jazeera quoted that person, he said, Taliban wants us to raise our voice over what is happening in Kashmir and help the Muslim brothers and sisters. So in other words, yes, the whole world can think that, yeah, Taliban, they are trying to establish peace and whatnot, but it will not stop there. It will not end, according to me. Okay, this is something I don't know. I do not have any insight about what is going on within the Taliban army. But from this observation, research, and study, I came to the conclusion that things will not settle down. Okay, things will not settle down, especially with India. They are fuming. Right now, we know in the news media, they are saying Taliban is bad. Look at how they treat people in a barbaric and this and that. In fact, Nasiruddin Shah, one of the actors of Hollywood, he said we should not be celebrating the fact that Taliban, they took over. The Indian Muslims should not forget who they are. I mean, the whole entire India, I would say maybe 90% of them are anti-Taliban and they do not like this. But there are still Muslims in India who are supporting Taliban. But the thing is that India is not taking it easily. Okay, for India, it's a nightmare. Taliban will rule because obviously they are going to go after Indian military in Kashmir and other places, other part of the world. That could also include places like Syria or maybe Palestine, Israel, and places like that. We do not know what will be the plan. But one thing, if you are intelligent enough, you will know that they are not going to stop. They're not going to just form a government and work to rebuild the country. They will interfere in other people's affairs, especially when it comes to Muslim, how they treat the Muslims in those places. Something very interesting that Taliban, what strength you want to see, what else you want to see from them. Right now they're defeating everyone. They were defeating, the American troops, and you might say, well, you know what, Donald Trump, he made an agreement with them that you guys will not fight with us anymore. I think that was in 2017 or 19. So you can say, you know what, that is why Taliban won the war against America, because America stopped fighting and they made an agreement. And you can also argue that, hey, look, if America wanted, they could have fought them instead of running away in the middle of the night. But they ran away, they fled. That's why they came to power. Taliban came to power. You can argue. So you can say, oh, look, Taliban did really nothing. They are nothing. There's no sign they are very strong. They're very brave. But now you see the sign when they are going to Panjshir province, taking it over from a fierce group. Even though they're small, but they're well equipped. They have a lot of manpower. Skillful manpower, I should say. But they are actually now being defeated by Taliban. If you're new here, consider subscribing, like this video, share this video. I'll see you soon again. Have a wonderful day.